Hello children, I hope you are all happy and safe. Welcome to this special English hour. Here, every day, we will sing, dance, listen to stories and have lots of fun together. Are you ready to have fun? Okay, then let's start our day with a song. Please stand up and come closer to your TV screens and prepare to sing and dance with me.
Paper boat, sail away. Whoosh, a little here, whoosh, a little there. Pitter patter, here it comes. Everywhere we go, let's chop, chop, chop. Little red umbrella, don't fly away. Whoosh, no, no. Whoosh, no, no. Pitter patter, here it comes. Everywhere we go, let's chop, chop, chop. Pretty little rainbow, will you dance with me? Whoosh, a spin. Whoosh, a twirl. Pitter patter, here it comes. Everywhere we go, let's chop, chop, chop.
Children, now I would like to share with you a few new words. Come, let's try to understand their meaning and also frame simple sentences using these words. The first word is thicket. 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 Thicket means a thick bush. Rabbits hide in a thicket. Thickets are dense and thorny. Next word, dodged. 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 To dodge means to give a miss. Rahul dodged the ball. Ravi dodged the bullet. Outskirts. 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 Outskirts means the end of the city or village. We went for a picnic at the outskirts. My village is at the outskirts of the city. Disappeared. 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 disappeared means vanished. The dog disappeared into the forest. Rahul disappeared in the crowd. Pit, pit, pit. A pit is a hole. We dug a pit in the garden. There is a pit on the street. It's very dangerous. Children, today we will be reading a very interesting lesson. The title of the lesson is The Noble Stag. If you have a textbook, please open to page number 69 and point to the words as I read. If you don't have a textbook, please see your TV screens and listen to me carefully. The Noble Stag. As we all know, King Brahmadatta of Banaras was extremely fond of hunting. Luckily for him, on the outskirts of the city was a huge forest filled with deer. Among them, there was a mighty stag. One fine day, the king had gone hunting with his courtiers. So children, who is this story about? This story is about King Brahmadatta. King Brahmadatta was from Banaras. What did King Brahmadatta like to do? King Brahmadatta liked to go hunting. And luckily for him, on the outskirts of the city, there was also a big forest with lots of deer. So one day, the king and his courtiers, means the king's servants, went for hunting. Would you like to know what happened there? Then come, let's read further. He told his courtiers, "If you allow even a single deer to escape, I will punish you severely." So, the courtiers formed a tight circle from which no deer could escape. Then they began to beat their sticks on the ground to frighten the deer hiding in the bushes and to make them run. The only way out of their circle was through a small clearing where the king stood ready with his bow and arrows. The courtiers were beating their sticks on the ground and shouting when suddenly a stag leapt out of a thicket. What did the king tell his courtiers? The king told his courtiers that today, if they allowed even one deer to escape, he would severely punish them. So the courtiers formed a tight circle around one area. There was only one gap in the circle. That was the gap where the king stood ready with his bow and arrow. Then all the courtiers began shouting and beating sticks on the ground. They were trying to make noise to scare the deer out of the thickets. Then suddenly a mighty stag leapt out of a thicket. Do you want to know what happens next? Then come, let's read. The stag saw that the king was standing in the way. So he looked the king straight in the eye and made a dash towards him. The king was taken aback and shot an arrow towards the stag hurriedly. Of course, it missed the mark, but the stag rolled over. The mighty stag saw the king standing in his way. So it looked at the king straight in the eyes and made a dash towards the king. The king hurriedly shot an arrow towards the stag. It missed the stag, but the stag rolled over. Now, there is one thing that you must know about the stag. It has excellent instincts and is extremely good at dodging arrows. Whether shot at from the back, front, or even the top. If an arrow is aimed at its belly, it pretends to roll over and then jumps up and runs once the danger has passed. What is the thing we must know about the stag? Stags have very good instincts. They can dodge arrows very well. An arrow may be shot at the stag from up, sideways, front, or back. The stag will dodge it. Even if an arrow is aimed straight at its belly, the stag will roll over, pause for a second, and then suddenly jump up and run once the danger has passed. So the stag was very smart to dodge the arrow. So when this stag rolled over, the king thought that his arrow had found its mark. He lowered his bow and began to walk towards the stag. But the stag suddenly jumped up and shot past the men. When the courtiers realized that the king had been mistaken, they started to laugh. Now, the king thought himself to be an excellent marksman and could not bear the taunts of his men. So, what just happened? When the stag rolled over, the king thought it was shot with his arrow. The king lowered his bow and began to walk towards the stag. But suddenly the stag jumped up and ran. The king realized he was mistaken. The courtiers also realized that the king was mistaken. They started cracking jokes at him. The king was known to be an excellent marksman, but this time, because he had missed the mark, all his courtiers were making fun of him. The king could not bear their taunts. He grabbed his sword and set off into the forest in order to catch the stag. He chased the stag for quite a while and covered a long distance. The stag came upon a hole in the ground that was covered by a rotting tree and filled with slime. From a distance, it could smell the dirty water and so was careful not to run over it. But the king could not sense the pit and fell right into it. The king was very angry. he took his sword and chased the stag. The stag made the king chase him for a very long stretch. After that, suddenly the stag came close to a pit. The pit was filled with slime and it was covered with a rotting tree. The stag immediately got its smell and was careful to not run over the pit. But the king did not know about the pit and fell into it by mistake. After a while, the stag realized that he was not being followed any longer. He understood that the king had perhaps fallen into the pit. So the stag went back to the pit and saw the king struggling for his life. The stag felt very sorry for the king. He decided to save the king's life, even though the king was following him with the intention to kill him. The stag realized that he was not being followed. The stag thought that the king must have surely fallen into the pit. The stag decided to go back to the pit, and when he reached the pit, he saw that the king was struggling to save his life. The stag decided to help the king, even though he knew that the king was following him with the intention to kill him. The stag told the king not to worry and to be brave for a while longer. He then caught a huge rock with his hind legs and lowered himself into the pit. The king caught hold of his neck and the stag climbed out onto the level ground and carried the king to safety. The king thanked the noble stag again and again and asked him to return with him to Banaras, where he could have anything and everything he wanted. But the stag did not want anything in return for his help. He just requested the king to rule wisely and well and be kind to animals. Then the noble stag disappeared into the forest. King Brahmadatta then vowed not to hunt or hurt any animal. The stag saved the king's life. The stag told the king to be brave for a while longer. Then the stag, with its hind legs, caught hold of a rock and lowered itself so that the king could hold its neck. The king held the stag by its neck. The stag slowly moved towards the ground level and brought the king out of the pit. The king was very thankful to the stag for saving its life and asked the stag to come along with him to Banaras. There he would give him whatever he wanted. But the stag told the king to rule its people wisely and not to hunt animals. The king vowed never to hurt any animal or even to hunt. Children, let's do an activity now. In this activity, I will show you some images of wild animals or birds. You have to guess the name of that animal or bird. Would you like to give this a try? Okay, then let us begin. Children, let's find out the names of these animals. The first animal is an elephant. The second animal is a rhinoceros. The third animal is a giraffe. The fourth bird is an ostrich. The fifth animal is a sloth. Children, I hope you liked the activity of guessing the names of animals and birds. Children, let's do an activity now. In this activity, we will be writing one and many pairs. Let's try to understand what are these one and many pairs. Let me show you one example. One king, many kings. So children, just like this, now on your screen, you will see one of a certain word that is given. You have to find out what is it called in its plural form. What do we say when there are many? Let me give you one more example. One tree, many trees. So children, just like this, try to solve the activity. Would you like to give this a try? Then okay, let us begin. Children, let's have a look at the answers. One bush, many bushes. One city, many cities. One horse, many horses. One arrow, many arrows. One leaf, many leaves. One child, many children. One foot, many feet. One deer, many deer. One sheep, many sheep. Children, you may have noticed that one deer, many deer, and one sheep, many sheep are a bit different than the rest of the pairs. Children, I hope you all liked today's session. Now, I would request you all to please make some time and try to write at least 5 lines about your favorite animal and why do you like it. Children, till we meet next time, please take care, bye-bye and stay safe.